Some things are just out of your control, and at the end of the day, you can't worry about that. There's nothing you could have done. Um, but you just move on and do your best, right? And eventually you'll find the right one. And when you do, it'll be worth it.
Hi, I'm Natasha Gillis, and here's a little secret. One of my favorite things to do is drive around town and proudly point out each dental practice my firm has helped grow. Because behind every practice is a real story of grit, vision, and entrepreneurship. On this podcast, you'll hear those real stories straight from the dentists who dared to build something of their own. So tune in, get inspired, and remember, your practice is my passion. All right, we are here today with Dr. Kim with Lumina Dentistry in Northern Virginia. Hi, Dr. Kim.
Hi, Natasha. Thanks for having me today.
I'm so happy to see you.
Yeah, I'm happy to see you too.
It's been a few months.
It has. It's been a whirlwind, but it's been great. So I'm really happy that you were able to help me.
Oh, my pleasure.
So thank you.
So how is the practice? You purchased the practice, you are taking it over. Tell me a little bit about your journey so far with making it your own. How has that been?
Yeah, so it's been, I can't believe it's been 7 months already.
It's been 7. Okay, you can track.
A lot of it's been a blur, like I mentioned. So a lot of change in terms of just the patient experience, but I think generally positive feedback. I think a lot of the patients have stayed. I haven't even marketed yet because my website's not even ready.
Oh my goodness.
Hopefully soon. But even without that, my schedule's just been very full, so I'm very grateful for that. I think patients are excited about all the new technologies. A lot of convenience factor too, because I can pretty much do it all for them. They don't have to leave to do certain things. And then, like aesthetic wise, slowly upgrading the office, repainting, remodeling, getting new chairs.
Yours.
Yeah, so I'm really excited for what's to come. And we're in a good spot right now.
You've been through a journey, though. It's taken so long to finally pinpoint the right opportunity.
Yeah, it has. And I know you've been there with me the whole time, and I really appreciate all your help and expertise in that matter. But I think the wait was worth it for sure. Definitely found the right one, I'd say. So I'm glad everything happened the way it did.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you and I were talking about kind of your background, and I remember when we first talked, it's been a few years now, you mentioned that it was somehow in passing, but it stuck with me, and then I've been kind of picking your brain about it, about chocolatiering and candy business, and something to the effect that your parents had a chocolatier, or what is it called, a candy, how do you say it properly?
So it was called Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory.
Okay.
It's a franchise, but they owned one location in Concord, North Carolina.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how old were you? Was this always a family business or something that they came into?
So it wasn't always our business, probably in the early 2000s, like right before I left for college. So I left for college in '03, but a little before then they bought that location. Awesome. Before then they did kind of similar things and lots of random things too, but they've had that thing for a long time now. And then they retired not too long ago, and my brother took over the business.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you come from a family of entrepreneurs. Your parents were entrepreneurial.
Definitely were, yes.
And now you are a business owner.
Yes, I can't believe it. I am.
Finally. How do you think those experiences, I mean, do you recall certain things from their chocolate business or either prior businesses that maybe helped you become the business owner that you are now?
Yeah, I think there are definitely, if I think about it, there are a lot of things that correlate for sure. So if I'm thinking back, I probably helped them the most when I was in high school and college, and basically whatever they needed me to do. So a lot of times I was being the cashier, so direct interaction with customers and making sales. A lot of inventory, so like ordering, refilling things. What I hated was my dad waiting till the last minute, end of the month, to do reporting for corporate, and he would make me do it. So that's one thing I learned not to do. We sold candied and caramel apples actually. So that was fun for me, skewering endless amount of apples and then decorating. But I think what stuck with me was essentially elevating the patient experience. That correlates with the elevated customer experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it sounds like you wore different hats too.
I did. I didn't think much of it at the time, honestly. I mean, just like a kid helping their parents, and then they give me some money, I guess, for helping them.
Exactly. How to make wages.
Yeah, so it just felt like everyday life because it was just always what we did. Even though that wasn't always our thing as a family business, business was pretty much a fact of our life. So I was very used to that kind of interaction. So it didn't seem out of the ordinary for me.
So that's a great point is I think as family, coming from families of entrepreneurial, I can't speak, entrepreneurial families, coming from that small business background, I think that's something that we have takeaways from is irrespective of what kind of business it is, we have to be client centric and also learn how to get what's needed to be done. So as something as easy as like a college job or a high school job, those are still seeds that I think implanted so that you learned when you open up your own office, how do you handle a patient from the moment that they walk in to the moment that they leave? And something unique I've seen with a lot of startups is sometimes because they're so lean on cash flow initially, they won't hire the staff to come and handle the check-in and the checkout. That doc will actually go in the front and do it personally. So that sort of wearing multiple hats, I think is really important to understand as a small business owner. And then conversely, when to step out of that. So in your current practice, do you have staff right now that basically takes care of it? Or did you have to fill in at first to help with the check-in, check-out?
Thankfully, I had staff to begin with. So there were a few staff members that ended up staying with me. And honestly, they're gems. Like, I'm so happy that they're there. They've grown immensely in the past 7 months. Just getting used to what I'm asking for and my expectations. But for me, I understand what your talking point was with cash flow and trying to save costs at the beginning. But I just went all in on staff because one, my parents were very much control freaks and they had to do everything themselves. But I learned from that experience that wasn't necessarily the best way to do things. So I'm very willing to delegate. One, it makes my life easier. And then two, if I give them some freedom to like explore their boundaries and kind of let them take the reins in that regard, then we all succeed.
Yeah.
So I was kind of forced to do that because they were already there and I had to keep them, but it worked out really well.
Well, that's the difference, too, between a startup versus an acquisition.
Yeah.
The startup, you really are focusing on the bare minimum. How can I get the first wheel turned? Acquisition, that wheel has been turning, and you're just trying to jump in. So that's where the differences are. But what I've learned, too, is sometimes with just business itself, things happen. Sometimes we restructure. We say, you know what we were doing isn't working. So whether it's retraining or whether it's that owner stepping back in and saying, I'm going to help make sure our SOPs are very particular for a specific thing and then pivot to the next. It's the fluidity of being able to sit around that table in all different aspects and saying, I can take over any of these components if I need to. But of course, I'm not the best one to do it. You are.
Right.
Yeah.
I very much agree with that statement.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good at what I do in the back, and then they're good at what they do in their roles. So I think having that mentality has paid off so far.
Yeah, it's important. So I think that's the other thing, too, is when we're thinking about, we have these conversations all the time. Do I start an office? Do I acquire an office? At the end of the day, whether you go this way or the other way, it's about risk. And, taking one step back, it really does take a specific type of person, a specific type of risk palette to even say, I want to open a business. Don't you think?
I think it does. I feel that I'm definitely a risk taker. I see the reward, and I'm willing to just suck it up to reach that reward.
Yeah.
So I think that's very much ingrained in me.
Yeah, that's awesome. So did you bring us anything today?
I did. So I brought you some chocolate.
Oh,
from
Oh, yay!
my brother,
So
who
this is
has
your brother's.
yes, so he has since over taken over the store. But he created his own chocolate line, chocolate bar line, I should say, called Friends. But that's for
Friends.
you.
Does this stand for anything? Do you know?
So it's like Friends,
Yes.
but in a playful spelling. And his slogan is "Chocolate is better with friends."
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
That's so sweet.
yeah,
So his website is friendschocolates.com.
yes,
We
that's
have
correct.
milk chocolate, dark chocolate, which I really like, birthday cake. So is it chocolate that tastes like birthday cake? Is it white?
It is white
It's
chocolate.
white chocolate.
Yes.
Potato chip.
You know, it sounds weird, but it's kind of like eating a chocolate covered pretzel in a sense, where it's a little bit salty.
Aha.
So I actually like that one a lot.
I'm curious about this one. The ingredient is milk chocolate and then potato chips. So it's got to be crunchy.
Yeah.
And this is funny. It says sweet and salty. When I am being bad, I eat chocolate. When I am sad, I eat chips. With this bar, I can eat both at the same time. Don't ask me about my BMI. I love it. Oh, and he has little ones, little sayings on the back.
Yeah.
This is great. This is caramel matcha latte.
Mhm.
This is white chocolate also. And then strawberry shortcake. Have you had all of these?
I have. So they're all pretty good. I think the strawberry shortcake is pretty good. As I mentioned, I like the potato chip. I prefer like darker chocolate, so
Yeah.
I like that.
Same. This
Yeah.
is incredible. Thank you
Yeah,
so
hope you
much.
like it.
I'm going to leave these here to kind of have some fun talking points.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, do you give these away to patients as goodies?
I'm playing around with the idea.
That's what I was thinking.
I know it just seems crazy, or like, why would I do that?
Right. Here, come back.
Yeah. But I've just kind of gauged patients' like reaction to it just by, you know, briefly mentioning it at like a hygiene appointment
Yeah.
when they're getting their checkup. They're like, "Oh, that'd be really cool."
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for me, it's more about, you know, I'm not perfect. I like candy. I mean, obviously, right? So I eat the things I want to eat, and so will you. But it's about supporting your lifestyle, and it's not necessarily one piece of chocolate that's going to wreck your teeth.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I've gone to my dentist and she does Starbucks gift cards. And initially you're like, I wonder why, should I get teeth whitening? But then it's not even that. It's more like they get me, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I love that fact that a dentist who is always, you hear about no sugar, brush your teeth, floss, that you are condoning, eat consciously, take care of your health. You can enjoy some treats here and there. So this is phenomenal.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Glad you like it.
So any plans for now that you've conquered an office, do you think you're interested potentially in multi-practice ownership?
That's a good question.
You're like, it's too early.
It is too early. I thought about that, and sometimes it's yes and no, because I feel like I'm already busy enough. And I have the opportunity to expand my current location. And if I do that, I could get some more chairs,
Yeah.
like at least 3 more, I think. And then I think like one downside of acquiring is it may not be to my personal aesthetic
That's right.
taste or the layout that I want, but I think if I were to get to that point where I'm expanding, I could remodel everything
True.
and make it how I want to, and then I think I'd be happier from that standpoint. But yeah, we'll see. Doors open, and then time will tell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's another challenge too for a lot of people who are acquiring offices is number one, you see a lot of colleagues do it. And you think if they bought and they owned, which is presumably far better than associating, because instead of getting my 32% or 35% of collection, which that's another issue, I can literally eat what I kill and support an office and do it under my terms. So that seems far more appealing. But then the next question becomes, okay, now I've got my baby, my project. Should I focus on this? Or now that I've mastered this kind of formula of how to run a business, should I launch location 2, 3, 4? Should I expand? What should I do with it?
Yeah. I think that door opens up once I've truly mastered that number one,
Yes.
in my opinion. of course, this is my own personal experiences and me working as associate for other multi-practice doctors. I've worked for doctors that have 5, 6, 7 locations, but when I look at it from my perspective now as a business owner, I can probably say that they maybe didn't have everything under control, or like didn't have the systems in place that they should have. So, like one practice I worked for, one of the owners would spend all day driving back and forth, Maryland to Virginia, just putting out fires here and there.
Yes.
And I wouldn't necessarily want to do that.
No.
So I think for now, yeah, just to kind of further expand upon that initial question about expanding, yeah, that's why I feel like I'm not even ready to do that yet.
And that's wise. One of the biggest mistakes I believe I see in my practice is exactly what you said. Hey, I've got 5 offices. I'm going to acquire number 6. Okay, doc, when can we meet to talk? Oh, I can't do calls until 10:30 at night. It's like, okay. Well, let's make some arrangements where we can accommodate to make sure that you address some of these major concerns. You're buying another office. You have to do due diligence. You have to, talk to your CPA. We want to give you a checklist of questions to make sure, you know what you're buying. We have a couple questions of our own. And then often it becomes more of a race to, I don't care, I just need to buy it, as opposed to, I need to make sure this is a right expansion fit, much less, is this the right plan? Do I need to actually expand more? And in that process, and I read a business book about this, a lot of business owners who haven't mastered their own business, they sometimes get complacent and they don't focus their energies back on that project because it's just been the same thing over and over again. They look outward to the next project. So they think, okay, this one's gotten as far as I think I can get it. They don't really want to refocus on it. Let's look outward. And so now they have project number 2. And then it's the same. You don't have it perfected. Okay, well, this is still making money. Let's do project number 3. And within that scope of focusing on project after project, they lose sight of maybe I had it and I just needed to fix it before I looked outward.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think in those situations you see a lot of turnover too, and then it just becomes this endless cycle of hiring and trying to find the right staff, but you never do because the culture's not right. So I'm glad I worked as an associate because I saw these things. So I think it'll help me shape my decisions for my office.
Things you don't want to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you think you're looking for an associate in the future, or are you happy just being the one who's directing the patient care?
Right now, at this moment, I think I need to be the one, but I am open in the future. I think I will need an associate.
Which is a great feeling.
Yeah.
But it's also a challenge. Because how do you feel confident in handing off the baton?
Right. I think there are definitely trust issues. I mean, no matter who's in charge, right? But I think what I wanted as an associate was having the feeling that the boss cared for me, wants to invest in me, and I felt like no one ever wanted to, honestly. And that's why I never felt satisfied either from a clinical standpoint, like I could never grow. So maybe, that investment is going to pay off, I think. So I'm very willing to do that, I think, if I were at that place, just to make that person feel like, oh yeah, this person really cares about me and my growth.
Yeah.
And I want to stay here for a long time.
Well, it adds to your team. It makes you feel like, you know what, now we have an invaluable person who adds to our scope and ability to perform.
Right.
Which is important. We forget that sometimes as business owners. It's not, I need a performer. It's no, I need someone who will help us shine. It has to be a calculated hire, not just, I need a hire.
Right.
That's important.
Agreed.
So, last question. Tell me a little bit about if you could have a conversation, let's say with a friend who was in your shoes a few years ago before you bought, and they're trying to buy an office or even do a startup. They want to become a dental practice owner. What tip or tips would you give them from something you've learned in your journey?
Well, first I tell them to call you.
Thank you.
But second, I tell them patience is the key.
Patience.
Yeah. It's really exciting to make that decision and commit to that and to finally want to take that step. And you're so excited that you want to get there right now. And I really understand that feeling. and I got disappointed many times. But
No
looking,
fault of your own either.
yeah,
There were some weird things that happened.
there were some weird things.
Yes.
Some things are just out of your control, and at the end of the day, you can't worry about that.
True.
There's nothing you could have done. But you just move on and do your best, right? And eventually you'll find the right one. And when you do, it'll be worth it. And as for like hesitating on whether or not it's the right call, I think it definitely is. If you have that business minded spirit and you want to go for it, then you definitely should, because it is worth it in the end.
Awesome. That's such a nice statement, because you see on social media, there's a lot of clout on dentistry lately, especially in the dental blogs. Oh, owning a practice is so hard. I'd rather be an associate. You know, it's hard to manage staff. It's hard to X and Y and Z. And quite frankly, I'm not a dentist. I read these blogs and I'm like, I almost want to get myself off of it. It's very depressive. It's not fun. It's not positive. And I feel like that carries over that sentiment into a lot of our dentists who are looking to acquire. They come to the table with that baggage. And often, I mean, we'd had these conversations, and I tell that to my buyer, you can either be the type of buyer which you are in your right to say, I'm not paying a dime more than what my CPA and my business consultant said that this practice is worth. Or, you know what? There's an inherent value to this outside of just the pen and paper. Seller wants a little bit extra. I'm willing to give that extra because I can see myself doing X with it. And as much as I'm not an advocate of overpaying, because it's still economic transition, the concern is still with a market, especially acquisitions. Is there a willingness for that buyer to say, I will take all reasonable steps necessary, including if I'm looking at a loan product where I'm paying like $100 more, because ultimately sometimes that's what it boils down to with these $50,000, $100,000 offers where it's a little more, a little less. Am I willing to just bite the bullet and get my foot in this office? You know, these are kind of the pros and cons sometimes that I think a lot of buyers lose sight of.
Yeah, I think having had some failed bids personally, because I didn't offer enough in this area, I think that's kind of the expectation, unfortunately. But you're absolutely right. Yeah, I overpaid technically, and the banks were kind of wary of that. And at first I listened to them saying that, oh yeah, I should pass. But I think even though I did overpay, like you said, it allowed me to get in the door. And there are other things that factor into your decision making. Just briefly, like one thing that factored into my decision was the previous doctors didn't do any specialty work. They pretty much did only cleanings. So that leaves a lot of room for growth for me.
Yes.
So overpaying didn't matter because I already like doubled more than doubled their previous production, and I'm not even at capacity yet.
Yeah.
So I think those things should factor into your decision making, not just the cost. Yeah, you'll pay a little bit now, but it'll reap benefits later.
Yeah.
That's my outlook.
I love it. And you've always been that way. You're very open to making a deal.
Yeah.
A lot of buyers, I had one buyer say, I've given the seller everything they've asked for, and I feel like it's unfair. And I had a very polite but stern remark. And I said, I totally get that. Because again, as an advocate, it hurts to say, oh yeah, just give them everything. But if you want to get yourself in this office and you want this opportunity, let's focus on buckets. Remember we talked about buckets. How do we make the seller's bucket full as well as yours? As it's not litigation. It's not this party loses, this party wins. It's more a mutually beneficial relationship. How do we get us both to where we want to go?
Right. Yeah, I totally agree with that advice, and it's worked out for me.
Well, congratulations.
Okay.
I can't wait to see your website. Let
Hopefully
us know when
soon.
it's out.
Yeah, I will, definitely.
It'll be probably what? What's your domain?
LuminaDentistry.com.
Okay, the name of the practice.
Yeah, so design is in process. I should hopefully have something to look at end of the month, and then sometime soon, hopefully early spring.
Well, let me know if I need to send a nasty gram to anybody so we can get this started sooner than later.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Doctor. I can't wait to try these.
Yeah, thanks, Natasha, for having me. I hope you like the chocolate.
I'm sure I will. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow and share this podcast with a friend in dentistry. And if you're ready to take the next step in your own entrepreneurial journey, connect with me. I'd love to make your vision a reality. Until next time, keep building, keep growing, and keep practicing your passion.